Good morning, everybody. This is Mukherjee, working as Associate Professor in St. Peter's Engineering College. Today, our point of discussion is direct and indirect band gap semiconductors. So, the topic of discussion is direct and indirect band gap. So, what is the direct and what is the indirect? Let us take this. Let us take EK diagram. Let us take the EK diagram. Now, what is EK diagram? E stands for energy, K stands for momentum. Now, what is this? Energy and momentum. Look, let us take silicon. So, in silicon, what is that we are trying? We are taking a pure silicon. We are adding gallium. When you add gallium, what is happening? This semiconductor is going to get converted into P-type semiconductor. Similarly, let us take silicon and let us add arsenic. When you add arsenic to the silicon, what happens? It becomes N-type semiconductor. And we are trying to combine both of them. When we combine both of them, what is that we are going to have? We are going to have a PN junction diode. This is what a normal semiconductor is. But some of the people thought, why should we add gallium to semiconductor, arsenic to semiconductor? Instead, if we have to add gallium and arsenic, what happens? Because gallium is a trivalent impurity, arsenic is a pentavalent impurity. Gallium has 3 outermost electrons, arsenic has 5 outermost electrons. If we are going to combine them, what happens? This is what they tried. And to the surprise, they found that it was a PN junction diode is formed. So even gallium and arsenic added together, a PN junction diode is formed. Earlier, how was the PN junction diode was formed? Gallium was taken, arsenic was added, and therefore a P-type semiconductor is produced. Then we have a semiconductor, arsenic is taken, and an N-type semiconductor is produced. So we have a gallium added P-type semiconductor, arsenic added N-type semiconductor. So we are going to have a, what you call it as a P-type, N-type different semiconductors. Just combine them, we get a P-N-type semiconductor. But now, gallium and arsenic, both of them are added together. When both of them are added together, what is happening? A semiconductor is produced. But this semiconductor has a lot more differences to a normal PN junction diode. It has a lot more differences. What is the difference? They are identified with respect to direct and indirect band gap. To know what is the direct and indirect band gap in the sense, what is the band gap? Band gap, the gap between the bands. And how many bands do we have? Only 2 bands. What are they? Of course, the valence band and conduction band. There are no other bands. There are only 2 bands. Allowed energy level, forbidden energy level. So one of the allowed energy level we call it a valence band. The other allowed energy level we call it as conduction band. And between them there is a gap and we call it as the conduction band. Sorry, the energy band gap. So here E get diagram. So we need to know K is a wave number. To know what is that we'll do is, let us take this crystal. Let us assume this is a crystal. How many faces do we have? How many faces do we have? Let us see the faces now. How many faces do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 faces. How to identify them? How are we going to identify them? We need to identify them, right? You can't directly say like they are north, they are west, they are east, they are south, like longitude and latitude on planet Earth. You can't directly say how exactly they are identified. They are identified using Miller indices. Miller indices. The Miller is something. Miller is the name of a person, and indices is nothing but the numbers. The numbers used to identify this crystal, and they are identifying them in 3-dimensional format. They are identifying the 3-dimensional format. Let us assume. Let us take this crystal. Let us take a crystal structure. This is what a crystal structure is. Okay. Now this crystal is having the intercepts along x-axis. Let us call the intercept along OA as x-axis. Y-axis it is OD, and z-axis it is OC. So this is exactly the crystal is. So now apart from OEBC, what is that we have? D, E, F, and G. So we have this. So this is a crystal. Like this crystal. This is also crystal. Same. How many faces do we have? See once again, how many faces we have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Front one, back one. Total 6 faces. Something similar to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there are 6 faces for this diagram. So now with this 6 faces, how to identify the diagram? These numbers are converted and they are identified. And they are identified as the Miller indices. Anyway, Miller indices is out of the scope of the syllabus. I will just give that Miller indices are indices of the numbers which are used to identify. And they are always represented like, they are always represented like 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, so on and so forth. And if they are represented by the bars, if there are any bars on this, it implies that they have a negative intercept along the negative axis, the intercept along the negative axis. So they are identified with these numbers. And that numbered implies a direction. For example, let us assume that this is 110, this side 110, this is 101, this is 110, this is 001. In that way, these are identified by these numbers. Why I am saying this? Because gallium arsenide and silicon semiconductor diode differs along one of such axes, one of such phases. That is the reason why along one such phase, what is going to differ? What is the difference between this gallium arsenide combined together and a PN junction diode formed because of a gallium silicon and arsenic silicon? So now what is happening? We have this condition now. So now, what is the band gap? The band gap is this way. Let us see the band gap. This is one kind of band gap. This is another kind of band gap. Along one particular axis, like 110. Let us assume that 110. We are taking 110. Similarly, let us take the same condition 110. What is happening? 110 and here 110. This is your valence band diagram. This is your conduction band diagram. Similarly, same is the case here. What is the case here? This is your valence band and this is your conduction band. So what is the case? The case is very simple. Here what is happening? There is a minimum distance between the top of the valence band, bottom of the conduction band. There is a minimum distance. But in here the case, what is the case? The case is the bottom of the valence band is far away from the top of the valence band is far away from the bottom of the conduction band. They are at a maximum distance. The distance is maximum. When the distance is maximum, what is happening? What happens? The electron requires a huge amount of energy to jump from the valence band to the conduction band. But here, what is the case? Because the distance is minimum, what is happening? The electron quickly jumps from valence band to the conduction band. When such arrangement is there, this kind of where the top of the valence band and bottom of the conduction band, if the distance is of minimum length or of the same height, we call them as a direct band gap materials. When the top of the valence band and the bottom of the conduction band, the distance between them or the band gap between them is very, very minimum or very low. In contrast to that, if the distance between the bottom of the conduction band and top of the valence band is at a maximum distance, then we call it as indirect band gap. So what happens? Right, that is direct band gap, this is indirect band gap. So what happens? What is that? We are going to face the difficulty. The difficulty is because the electrons are quickly jumping from valence band to the conduction band, they liberate huge amount of energy. And energy is measured in the form of frequency. And huge amount of frequency? Optical ranges, optical frequencies. And here what is the case? They take a huge amount of energy to move from valence band to the conduction band, and therefore the output is of low energy. They give very low energy is the output. Low energy, and energy is once again in the measured in the form of frequencies. So low frequency is released. And because it is released in the form of a low frequency, the output will be different. And that is what the difference is between the direct band gap and indirect band gap is. What is the difference? The difference is that in direct band gap, the gallium and arsenic, they are of direct band gap because here the electrons are taking minimum energy and the output they are producing of high frequency of the optical ranges, and that is the reason why the output will be in the form of light. But here they are taking huge amount of energy and they are releasing with less amount of energy. And that energy, less amount of energy or low amount of energy corresponds to low frequency, and low frequencies corresponds to very low amount of frequencies, and low frequency is nothing but of the octave of your normal current or voltage that is happening in the normal household. That is the reason why this is direct band gap, and the best example from the indirect band gap is silicon with gallium, silicon with arsenic produced PN junction diode. And what is the example of the direct band gap? Gallium and arsenic. So what is that happening? Gallium and arsenic are producing a beautiful light. And best example of this is, what is the best example of this? The best example is always given by LED. What is LED? Light emitting diode, a diode which emits light. So diode which emits light. And what is the best example for this? Any normal PN junction diode made up of silicon or germanium for that matter. So any silicon which is going to produce this, we call it as a PN junction diode of silicon. Anything LED which is going to produce there, we call it as a light emitting diode. So that is the difference between this direct band gap and indirect band gap. Apart from that, what is that we have? There a huge amount of energy is produced. Here, very less amount of energy is produced. And there you can also produce monochromatic, single color. Here the energy is not of the optical ranges, so therefore there is no question of monochromatic or dichromatic or multichromatic. There is no such case because the frequency is very low. When the frequency is very low, what happens? The output is very low. But here the frequency is very high. And that too, we can also produce the monochromatic. And that is what LEDs, light emitting diodes. We have many light emitting diodes. Even your mobiles have LEDs. These mobiles have red color, blue color, green color. Yeah, when a mobile is charged, you get a green color. When there is no charge or less charge, it shows a red color. When there is any message or notification, you get a blue color. And these are nothing but LEDs. They have inbuilt LEDs. And that is the advantage of LEDs. But PN junction, this is what it is. So this is what a direct and indirect band gap is. How do we define? When the top of the valence band and the bottom of the conduction band, the distance between the top of the valence band and the bottom of the conduction band is minimum, we call it as a direct band gap. When the top of the valence band and the bottom of the conduction band, if it is maximum, we call it as an indirect energy band gap. And this is going to sequence, and the materials are classified. Like indirect band gap, the best examples are in normal PN junction diodes. And the direct band gaps are what are the best examples? The best examples are LEDs. So LED is a wonderful thing which is going to produce or which is going to produce this kind of this thing. So let us see. Let us try to see the LED because already we have studied the PN junction diode. Let us study once again PN junction diode as well as LED as well as solar cell in this. Let us study them. So what is it? One is LED, the other one is solar cell. So this is exactly LED represented as, and this is solar cell symbol actually. Cutting outside of inside the way. So this is what the structure is. So now, what is LED? LED is going to produce a beautiful output light. Let us see how exactly this happens. This is a normal PN junction diode. This is your positive terminal, this is your negative terminal. So this is our LED. Let us remember this is our LED. So now what is happening? This positive terminal is connected to the holes in the P type, and this negative is connected to the electrons of the N type, and we are going to have a junction. So now what is happening? This is how the structure is. Now P is connected to, the positive is connected to P type, and negative is connected to N type. So when the circuit is connected, what is happening? The positive is trying to drive the, because there is a positive charge and both are positive charge, there is a repulsion between them. And this is a negative charge and electrons are also negative charge, there is a repulsion between them. And therefore holes will go and hit the junction, electrons will go and hit the junction, and therefore when they hit the junction, what happens? Junction contains electron and hole pairs. Because this contains electron and hole pairs, what is happening? Electron hole pairs are created. When electron hole pairs are created, energy is created, and that energy is released in the form of radiation. So energy is released in the form of radiation. This is how exactly an LED works. So how exactly an LED works? LED works as your P type is connected to positive terminal, N is connected to negative terminal, and therefore this positive is trying to push the holes, and electrons are trying to push towards the junction, and electron and hole they are going to combine together, and therefore new recombination and generation happens. And the time between this recombination generation is so fast that immediately the generation recombination happens, and this generation recombination fastness is so high that a very high amount of energy is produced, and that high energy is going to correspond to a high frequency, and that high frequency is going to produce the optical ranges, and therefore we are going to get the light as the output. And these LEDs are used in, where are they used? They are used in like optical cables and wherever you have these electronic gadgets. This is how exactly an LED works. Let us take the solar cell. How a solar cell or how exactly a solar cell happens? Solar cell, once again, you're going to have a PN junction diode. You're going to have a solar panel. And this is connected to the ammeter part, whatever it is, and the load. So now what is happening? The sun rays are falling on this. When the sun rays, this is the solar cell. When sun rays are falling on the junction. When sun rays are falling on this, let us assume that the sun rays are falling. When the sun rays are falling on this, what is happening? They are falling on the junction, and there the electron and hole are created. And this electron and hole creation is dependent on what? The intensity of the radiation. It is dependent on the intensity of the radiation. So the intensity is coming and falling on this, and therefore, what is happening? It is trying to produce the electron and hole. Here, what is happening? Electron hole recombination is happening. Here, what is happening? Electron hole generation is happening. Here, the recombination is happening much in number. Here, the generation is happening in much in number. And this generation is going to produce the energy which is going to produce in the form of the output. And this is exactly how solar cell works. So this is what the condition is. So one is example. This is the example of a direct band gap, and this is the example of an indirect band gap. So in a direct band gap, what is happening? The direct band gap, because the distance between the conduction band and valence band is minimum, and therefore what is happening? The recombination. The electron is jumping from the valence band to the conduction band, and once again it is coming down. And this process of generation is happening so fast that a huge amount of energy with a high frequency is produced. And here, what is happening? It is of indirect energy band gap. It is of indirect energy band gap. So what is happening? Much of the energy is lost. Much of the energy is lost. So therefore, what is happening? The energy is falling on the silicon cell structure, and a huge amount of energy is, or very less amount of energy is available. That less amount of energy is trying to generate the electron and hole pairs. Because the electron and hole pairs are generated, these electron hole pairs are producing a beautiful, or been produced a wonderful concept of solar energy. But unfortunately, the percentage is somewhere around 18 to 19%. Only 18 to 19% of solar energy we could convert into electricity. Of course, the remaining thing is wasted out, but still, it is something always better than nothing. Right? So we have two optoelectronic equipments here. What are they? The first one is LED, and the other one is a solar cell. In LED, what is the case? The LED, the case is that it is generating the solar radiation when, or the optical radiation when it is put in an electronic circuit. And what is solar cell doing? It is taking the sun radiation or radiation, and that radiation is converted into electricity. Both of them are working with, we call it as both of them are opposites to each other. The one is LED, you call it as a direct band gap, and with the solar cell, you call it as an indirect band gap. But anyway, everything has a simple property. What that? Electron hole pair created, electron hole pair generation. So recombination. One is generation, the other one is recombination. In an LED, what is happening? The generation is more, and sorry, the recombination is more, and solar cell, the generation is more. Because the generation is more, but with low frequency. The generation is more, but the energy of that generation is very low, and therefore we are just getting a very normal range of frequencies. But in an LED, the recombination is very high. Recombination is fast and very high, and that high energy is produced, and that high energy is of the optical ranges, and that is what the whole thing is. So in a semiconductors we have a PN junction diode, and that PN junction diode corresponds to an indirect band gap, and the same thing similar to that we produce a solar cell. And something, if the PN junction diode is operated in a forward bias with not made up of silicon but made up of gallium and arsenide, what do we get? We get an LED. In place of gallium and arsenide, if we take silicon and if it is exposed to the sun radiation, it is going to produce a radiation. So solar cell, the name itself is, what is solar cell? Solar cell in the sense, it is actually converting the solar energy to the electrical energy. That is what we call it as a solar cell. And what is an LED? LED which is converting the electric energy to the optical energy. So one converts electric energy to the optical energy, we call it as LED. The other converts optical energy to the electric energy, we call it as a solar cell. So solar cell is a best and beautiful example of indirect band gap, and the LED, which is a direct band gap, which converts the electricity to the light. And we have in LEDs, we have many colors, and we also have a multi. Not we have a single junction. We have many junctions. Like it's not only about it is not only about gallium and arsenide. It can be something like this: gallium, aluminium X, indium 1 minus X, arsenide. We can have these kind of multi variables, multi complex. So it can be something like this, gallium, aluminum X, indium, manganese X, arsenic. We can have, depending upon the color and depending upon the intensity we require, we want to take this compounds. Rather than taking a silicon and adding the impurities and converting into p junction diode, we are going to take the gallium, aluminum, indium, arsenic. We are going to join them according to the percentages of the requirement we have, and we are going to convert this. So this is what the gallium arsenide is, and that is what the indirect band gap is. Thank you.